Welcome back to the Grace and Grit podcast. I am your host, Artrice LaNae. I hope you are filled with joy and peace today, wherever you are today. Today's episode is about to be about the butterfly effect, the butterfly cycle, if you will, and truly what that means for me personally, and maybe what that means for you, and kind of the different changes that we go through. So let's go ahead and jump right into the episode. So the butterfly cycle for me, specifically with the transition of my life that happened beginning in July of 2024, was almost a little bit unexpected, because I knew that at the end of the year, or towards the end of the year, I wanted to cut and color my hair. That was like the main thing I was excited to do. More specifically, I wanted to do that because my 25th birthday was coming up. So I always knew for 25, I wanted to color my hair red. It just seemed fitting. I was like, I'm going to enter this like fiery red, confident era of myself. And it was really, really fitting. What I did not know or anticipate was that leading up to the actual day I was going to cut and color my hair were all of the changes that were going to be made inside of me. And if I'm being completely honest, if I look back at the beginning of 2024, there were a lot of hints that I felt God was sort of giving me about the changes that were about to be happening. But ignorance is bliss. And so I chose not to really acknowledge the changes that were about to be happening. I chose to just kind of let it do and play itself out however it will, and I would be fine, right? But the reality was there were changes that were happening, and they were big changes. And I felt myself getting very uncomfortable with the changes because I couldn't really pinpoint why those changes were happening, or even how my life was supposed to look afterwards. So for me, the butterfly effect, like I mentioned, began in honestly, I would say sort of began in June, just because there were a lot of things going on with my job at the time that were transitional periods, with just things that were sort of going on. And I felt myself getting very anxious all the time going to work. And that's not like me, especially because my job, for the most part, is something that I really enjoy. And the opportunities that I get within my job are amazing opportunities to just have, especially with being a producer and a writer. And so I really do enjoy my job. And it was also one of those things that I had asked God for specifically a year ago. I had prayed for a job like this. And so then to be in a position where I felt anxious all the time, not because of the job itself, but because of things that were changing within me. And I felt like I couldn't really show up the way I wanted to, or the way that I'm used to. And so there were changes happening within me that I just felt were very abnormal, and I couldn't fully place them. Again, I couldn't pinpoint where they were happening, why they were happening, all of these things. And then, of course, July 11th happens, and I start recognizing the different signs and hints that God had been dropping to me and through me throughout the year. And more specifically, the butterfly effect that took place from July until I dyed and cut and colored my hair was that I knew I wanted to lose weight this year. And I've always kind of been like that mid-size girly, and trying to figure out what that meant, because I've always had hips. Ever since I was 12, I've had hips. Like I've always had curves as a child. So it was never really a thing of, it was always just more of a self-conscious thing that I was cognizant of my weight kind of fluctuating up and down. I've always been cognizant of gaining weight or losing weight and wanting to look this way, and having to be a little bit uncomfortable because I have hips and I have curves. So the way I want it to look wasn't really what was actually on my body. So that was uncomfortable to try to figure out. But anyway, all of that being said, I knew I wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to lose roughly 25 to 30 pounds. And I wanted to lose this weight because I just wasn't feeling confident in myself. I was looking back at pictures of myself and I was like, oh my goodness, body dysmorphia is a real thing. And you look at photos of yourself and you feel like, who is that person? I don't recognize her. Why does she look that way? Why is that role there? Why is that cellulite? Like all of these things, like true things that I was struggling with. And I ended up having a conversation with my friend who ended up becoming my trainer. And I was like, listen, I really want to lose weight. And clearly, whatever I'm doing is not working. So I need you to help me figure out a plan. And she said, okay. And so we did about probably, I would say, maybe a 8 to 10 week plan, like of just changing my diet, changing when I was eating, what I was eating, being very regiment, honestly, with the amount of food I was eating. I had to go get a food scale, y'all. Like really had to be regiment and strict with how much, protein I was getting in a day and all of these things that you recognize now that you are cognizant of what you're putting into your body. And then we figured out my workout plan, and I figured out my workout plan. It was a very it began a very stressful workout plan, I'm not gonna lie. Because I was sometimes working out twice a day, and that's just not like me. I was never necessarily the kid that was in sports or whatever, things like that, but I would stay active to some degree. And so having a workout regimen where you're working out twice a day, one in the morning, one in the evening, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to kill me. What I was learning though through that process of understanding my body, truly taking time and taking stock of my health and what was going on with my body and the changes I was seeing, was that I was no longer stuck in this mindset of feeling like I did not have the outlet or the avenue to change what I didn't like about myself. And the difference between doing it this way versus, I feel like the gazillion other times I've decided to lose weight, right? And then didn't follow through with the plan, was that I consulted God first. Obviously, I talked to my friend who is a personal trainer, and she and I sat down really going through calorie counting and all of these things. Of course, the metrics, the numbers, literally crunching numbers, right? But I sat down with God and I said, I don't want to work out and feel like it is a burden on me to work out because of where I mentally was at that time in my life. And I had gone through a situation where I just didn't necessarily feel the most worthy, if we're being honest. I didn't feel like I was worthy of acceptance or worthy of love or worthy of change or worthy of the blessings. Like I just didn't feel worthy enough at all. And so I had a conversation with God, and I was just, I was very honest. I was very vulnerable. And I said, I need you to help me be okay with the changes that are about to be happening, because I was already feeling changes within me, sort of personally, that were happening. But now I knew this physical change was about to take place. And people don't talk enough about what happens after you lose a lot of weight. And I didn't even lose like a ton of weight. Like I didn't go from 200 pounds to 100 pounds, right? But I lost a significant enough amount of weight that my clothes changed and the way I looked in certain clothes changed and things like that. And then on top of that, you add cutting 5.5 inches of your hair off and then dyeing that hair red. As a woman, as a Black woman, that in and of itself is a whole waiting to exhale moment, right? So I I wanted to be comfortable in the changes that were about to be made physically to my body. And I had to really fight hard against feeling like I was doing it for someone else. I had to really fight hard against emotions that were coming up, causing me to again think that I wasn't worthy of something, or causing me to second guess the changes I was making and the my body physically changing. But what I noticed the most in this butterfly effect, in this butterfly cycle, in this metamorphosis, was that in my cocoon, in the consecration period that God so graciously gave me, from May up until September, and October a little bit, was that I I was able to go through these changes with him and I. And so when you think about a butterfly, when they're in this cocoon, right? They start off as these little larvae, and then they get inside their cocoon and they go through this shedding process and growth process all at the same time. And then when the cocoon breaks is when the butterfly emerges, right? And I knew that my time was coming closer and closer to the cocoon breaking. And if I'm being completely honest with y'all, there was a moment that was very, very scary for me because the realization hit that I wasn't going to be within the safety and the confines of a cocoon. That at some point in time, I had to re enter into the world. And the world necessarily hasn't changed much, right? Since I've been in the cocoon. But yet and still, I had to be brave enough and confident enough and bold enough to break the cocoon and say, well, the world is my oyster now. So now I get to break free and fly away. And there was, if I'm being honest, there was fear there. There was a lot of fear. If you ask any of my friends, I was scared for a long time. And this is where having friends speaking into you and covering you comes into play, because if it had not been for my friends standing in the gap for me, reminding me of the things God had shown me from July 11th up until that point in October, if it had not been for my friends praying over me, if it had not been for my friends sending me sermons just randomly, they're like, "Hey, I thought about you. Go watch this," praying for me even when I didn't ask for it, even when I didn't know. If it had not been for friends like that, I promise y'all, this podcast would not have been started. I probably would not be writing. I probably wouldn't have been producing projects. Like I would be very, very stagnant. I'm going to be completely honest. And not because I didn't trust God, but because I was afraid of breaking out of this cocoon. And when what people don't understand is when you break out of the cocoon, you're no longer tied to the safety net. That is the cocoon. The cocoon is a shield, quite literally. It keeps other bugs out. It keeps bacteria out. It keeps, unwanted visitors out. Like, it was just me and God, and that felt safe. And it is. You get so comfortable with the quiet. You get so comfortable with the solitude and the safety of knowing that it's just you and God. And I didn't want to break the cocoon and feel like I had lost my connection to God, or I had lost my tethering to God, or I had lost my ability to access Him. And so becoming a butterfly is a beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous thing, because now you have these new colors and wings. Now you get to literally fly now. But I was very, very afraid of that cocoon breaking and me falling flat on my face. I was. And the person I am now is a very confident, assured person, not because I have all of the answers, but because I know my Lord and Savior does. Because I know I can access heaven at any point in time, because I know God is covering me, because I know I can tell Him anything, because I know I'm not in this by myself, because I know I have a village that is covering me in prayer as we speak. Like, these are things I know now. But when you're in the cocoon, you're kind of watching life pass you by. I'm watching the world continue to spin. I'm watching the world move and shape and take its own new metamorphosis within itself. And here I am still in the cocoon, in the safety of my cocoon. And now the cracks are starting to form, because now my metamorphosis is over. Now the alone time, the wilderness is over. I've gotten to the end of the rainforest, and now I have to come back out into the city. Like, it was scary, y'all. I was scared of, and if I'm being honest, still nervous at times, not scared anymore, but still nervous at times of getting it wrong. Because what if I've undergone all of these changes and then I enter into the world again and everything I've learned goes out the window? What if I've gone through all of these changes? What if I've imparted new things into me, and I've grown and I've learned, and now I'm a completely different person, and now the world doesn't recognize me anymore? And forget if the world recognizes me or not. What if I get it wrong in the world? In the cocoon, I could get it right. In the cocoon, I'm fine with falling on my face. In the cocoon, I'm fine with shedding and then finding new wings. But in the world, having to do that, in the world having to fly, the first time a butterfly flies is after the cocoon breaks. It doesn't fly in the cocoon. It's building its wings in the cocoon. It doesn't even know it can fly until the cocoon breaks. What if I break this cocoon and I don't know how to fly? What if I break this cocoon and my wings don't work? What if I break this cocoon and I fly to the wrong destination, into the wrong arms, to the wrong people, to the wrong opportunity? What if I take the wrong direction? That's where I was. And I think a lot of people don't understand the butterfly process, the butterfly cycle, and they don't recognize that there's some fear attached to it at times. So I'm here to tell you, you're going to fly and you're going to make it. You're not going to fall flat on your face. Your wings were created to help you and sustain you. Your wings were created to help you carry the weight that you have now, because it is a new weight. It's not just light and airy. Like, you have a new weight now. You have a new responsibility now. When you go through a consecration period, when you go through a wilderness period, when you go through a cocoon metamorphosis period, you are taking on a new weight and a new responsibility. God is molding you for his glory. So yeah, you're going to come out unrecognizable. You're going to come out looking very, very different to people that thought they knew you. You're going to come out looking very, very different to friends and family. You're going to come out looking very, very different to your job. And that's okay. You're supposed to. You have wings now, baby. You have wings that are going to carry you to new heights. You have wings that are going to take you to new places, to new opportunities, to new people. You have wings that are going to allow you to see the world from a completely different perspective. Don't stay in the cocoon forever. Don't be afraid of when the cocoon breaks. Don't be timid that you have confidence now. I was afraid that the confidence that I had built within the cocoon was a false sense of confidence, because I hadn't actually tested it out yet. I didn't know what it actually meant to have this confidence in front of people. I quite literally didn't know if I was supposed to be as open and honest about my faith. Because if I'm being honest, I was like, God, but if I get this wrong, people gonna be looking at me crazy. And not getting it wrong for the opinions of other people, y'all. I was afraid of getting it wrong in his sight. Still am. Let's be very, very clear. I'm still nervous doing this. Like, this still requires a level of angst for me at times, because I thought, God, if I come from behind the shadows and I don't do it the way you told me to, or I don't do it the way you saw me doing it, that's ruining the risk. That's running the risk that I might not make it into your gates. That's way more important to me than being seen by somebody else. That's way more important to me than somebody commenting they didn't or did it, or they did or didn't like something I said. I'm not doing this for the attention, for the notoriety of other people. I'm doing this because God has told me, Artrice, I need you. And I need you to walk this thing out. So that's what I'm here to tell you. Whatever it is, he needs you to walk it out. He needs you to come out of the cocoon, baby. He needs you to spread your wings. He needs you to fly. He needs to show you that there's a new opportunity on the other side of the cocoon. He needs to show you that I've done the work in you. I've done the work in you. I've completed the work in you. I promise it's okay to go. It's okay to fly. It's okay to find new opportunities. It's okay to make friends with new people. It's okay to be open to try new things. It's okay. I've done the work in you. The cocoon is where he does the work. You've been on the training ground floor. You've been through basic training. You've been through the metamorphosis. He can trust you now. The only reason he would break the cocoon now is if he trusts you. He trusts you now, so it's okay to fly now. He trusts you to go and come back. One of the things I heard in a television show, absolutely loved it, and it was talking about it was talking about parents raising their kids. And she said, the best thing we can give our children are roots and wings. Roots so that they know they always have a place to come back to and remember the foundation that they were given. And wings so that they can fly and remember where home still is and come back. You have roots now. He's giving you roots in the cocoon period. He's giving you roots in the metamorphosis period. He's giving you roots in the changes he's made in you. And now you also have wings. So please fly. It might be scary. Again, this is still very nerve-wracking for me. I'm sitting here talking to you all, still a nervous version of myself in doing this. But I'm confident that because he led me to it, he won't let me fall. I'm confident that because he's my guiding light, that he won't let me destroy myself. I might stumble, I might trip a little bit, but he's always going to be right there. So my cocoon broke in October. And for me, that was re-entering into the world. I had been off of social media since May of 2024. So coming back into the world in October, so much has happened. And I didn't know who was even going to recognize that Artrice had come back, right? Let alone that this version of Artrice now exists. What? Like, what do you mean? This version is unrecognizable to a lot of people that used to know me. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Because he's done too many changes on the inside of me. He's allowed me to see things now. I'm a lot more kind now. I'm a lot more generous now. I'm a lot more empathetic now. That version wasn't necessarily the version of Artrice that was before the metamorphosis and butterfly process, okay? So what changed after my cocoon breaking? Changed my hair. Cut 5.5 inches off and colored it red. Like, I have to say that again because I think people don't understand. There's a thing within women, okay, and more specifically within Black women, that if you cut your hair, that's one thing. You know, you've gone through a change, cool. You dye your hair red as a Black woman, again, I'm going to just let that sit and do with that information what you will. I cut and changed my hair, colored and changed my hair. I also embraced my naturally curly hair now. I haven't embraced my naturally curly hair since I was in high school, okay? So to be back at this stage at 25 is insane to me, but I love it so much. I literally love my hair. Like, I was trying to figure out what new hairstyle I was going to do because I was thinking about getting a sew-in or something, and I just love my curly hair and I don't want to get rid of it. So love it now. Cut, colored, changed my hair. And then I lost 15 pounds. Let me just tell y'all, the process of losing weight in and of itself, again, is a difficult process. But the process of losing weight while you're on a journey with God, I started seeing the weight fall off. I had started my training, my actual training and sort of meal prep, all of the things in June with my trainer. And June and July I had lost a couple of pounds, but nothing super significant. I lost the majority of my weight in August. And if you remember anything about August for me, August was the month I was walking with God every single day. The weight fell off. I'm not joking. I went down a pant size. I went down a shirt size. Like, I look so different in clothes now. It was just I don't know how to explain it other than it felt so weird and like an outer body experience, because I had worked so hard in June and July to try to lose this weight. And then I started walking with God, literally figuratively walking with God. And the weight fell off immediately. I'm gonna say that again, and then I'm gonna let it sit. Literally and figuratively, in August, I walked with God and the weight fell off. Do you see where I'm getting at here? I didn't have to do anything except walk with him, and the weight was removed. I wasn't stressed about things. I wasn't anxious about anything. The weight fell off because I trusted him, because I walked with him. That's when everything opened up for me. That's when the weight fell off. That's when the opportunities came. That's when my mindset changed. That's when my lifestyle changed. I'm so serious, y'all, about I literally saw everything in my life change in the month of August. And 8 in the Bible is the number of new beginnings. So take that as you will. I quite literally saw my life change physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the month of August because I was walking with him. And then he went through an additional process towards the end of August and into September, where now I'm gaining my wings. And October, the cocoon was breaking. And so I had to emerge into this world, a completely different version. Things about the podcast changed, clearly. Things about who I am changing. How I show up for my friends and family now. What actually matters to me now. The amount of time I spend dedicated just reading his word, the amount of time I spend dedicated just worshiping and prayer, the amount of time I'm dedicated just writing. That all changed because I was walking with him. So when you go through a butterfly process, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're shedding skin. It's a very tight space. You're shedding skin in a cocoon, okay? It's going to get uncomfortable. But now you have new wings. Now you have a completely new perspective. And when that cocoon breaks, because it's going to break, you get to fly. You get to soar now. Don't miss the opportunity to be made different, made new inside of a cocoon. Don't run from a cocoon season. If that is what you are in right now, it's okay. Changes are meant to happen. People are meant to walk away. People are meant to disappoint you. You're going to fall. It's okay. You're in a cocoon season. Things are going to look very, very different. If all of a sudden everything in your life looks different, I'm telling you now, it's for the better. I'm telling you now, if you are trusting God with everything and everything looks different, it's for the better. So trust his cocoon process for you. Trust the butterfly cycle he's taking you through. And when the cocoon breaks, please do me one favor. Just enjoy the flight. Enjoy feeling the air underneath your wings. Enjoy looking at the world with new eyes. Enjoy finding new heights and new perspectives. Enjoy making new friends. Enjoy being vulnerable. Yes, I said that. Enjoy being vulnerable, okay? Don't rob yourself of the opportunity to be vulnerable and experience and grow and change. Enjoy that. Please. You're going to need it when you take flight. This is what the butterfly cycle looks like. It looks like Artrice cut and coloring her hair, losing weight. It looks like documenting my life now in so many different ways, which I'm very excited, which will be like an extension of Grace and Grit for you all. But writing so much now, doing the work that truly feeds my soul and changes me from the inside out, consulting God on everything, having tough conversations with people. And I mean difficult conversations, difficult decisions that have to be made. It's okay. You are going through your butterfly cycle, and I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. He's not done yet. He's only getting started with you. If you are in your cocoon season, I love this for you. I really, really do. Because you're going to come out a new person. You're going to come out looking more and more like him. You're going to come out feeling his presence. You're going to come out more sensitive too. Let me just warn you. You're going to come out more sensitive out of the cocoon. It's not just about to be a walk in the park. You're going to be more sensitive to the Holy Spirit moving. You're going to be more sensitive to the things around you. You're going to be more sensitive and aware of what you say. You're going to be very, very aware of your words and your language now. I felt like I needed to say that because I didn't think that my language would change as much as it did and as it has. So it's okay. If these are things that make sense to you, if you're nodding your head or you're like, that sounds about right, you're in your cocoon season. And that's okay. God is right there with you. Ask him what you've always wanted to ask him. Ask him what you don't know yet. Ask him the things that you're scared about when you get the wings. Ask him, God, show me where else you've done this in your word. Find the scripture, find the story, find the text that matches up with what you're feeling. Because again, you have not had a singular experience, but your experience is yours. So ask him to show you things, ask him to reveal things to you. But I promise y'all, it gets so good. Romans 8:28. Go read that scripture. And remind yourself that it gets really, really good. He's not done yet. He's not done until you look like him. So go through that butterfly process, boo. Go through the butterfly process and enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. Fall in love with the journey. Please do not fight the journey. Embrace it. Embrace every change. Embrace every newness. Embrace every opportunity. Embrace every new perspective. Embrace the journey. Don't fight it. Let him love on you. Let him change you from the inside out. Please, 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 please. And I will be here on the other side of your cocoon breaking, cheering you on as you take flight. I am so, so joyful for you. I'm so happy for you. I love you so, so much. Thank you again and every single week for tuning in for another episode of Grace and Grit. I am your host, Artrice LaNae. I hope joy and peace find you. I hope grace continues to cover you. And I hope that you walk this thing called life out with the grit of God. I will catch you all next time.